Today I'm going to talk about a critical analysis of Montessori and Rigo Emilia approaches in early childhood education.
A strong understanding of early childhood education theories has a profound impact on educators, families, and others who comprise the community in general. The EYLF, which is Early Year Learning Framework, provides Australian practitioners with a superb foundation to adapt inclusive, responsive, and resource-based methodologies that focus on collaboration and diversity. Early childhood philosophies act as a common communication base as well as values that promote serious family introvert. The present paper emphasizes the theories of the two greatest educational theories, Montessori and Brigo, whose orientation significantly have shaped the world practice of early childhood. These theories focus center has shaped the education of the world in an unprecedented way. Moreover, the paper identifies the effect of these theories upon my moods of teaching and how positively these theories shape an inclusive, respectful, collaborative learning environment. This presentation compromises or compares their view of children, role of parents, development of the theories, learning environment, and the role of teachers and curriculum activities.
Children are naturally curious and capable of self-directed learning according to the Montessori view of child. Possesses an azurine mind, Montessori 1967 taken from. Development unfolds through sensitive period. Children construct knowledge independently at their own pace. Montessori says that children are naturally skilled and capable of learning in an independent setting. Montessori distinguishes absent mind in the young kids, enabling kids to absorb with ease and learn from the environment between birth and 6 years of age. The inner impulse makes children relatively predisposed to explore and learn new information. Distinguished by sensitive period are at the core of Montessori philosophy, specific separate phases of early child development where children are prepared to learn specific skills. Montessori understood that a allied approach between home, school, and educational environment contributes a lot to developing children. Promotion of autonomy and independence is a major task of the family within the Montessori approach. Promoting routines and self-reliance indoors facilitate the reinforcement of the learning captured in Montessori environments. This way, Montessori philosophy accentuates a cooperation between education establishment and the family. By doing that, kids become secure and confident, and thus they are in a position of becoming self-reliant learners. The Montessori approach is based on a universal progression where development is a clear logic pathway that builds what has been learned earlier. Montessori was aware of the need to be guided by nature with respect to the growth of child and recommended as a curriculum teachable at each phase of development. Children are guided to move academically on their own terms without pressure, understanding their attributes, finding their motivation from the inside. Montessori approach is marked with the prepared environment that is peaceful, orderly, and typologically constructed and encourages student independent learning. From the Reggio Emilia view of the child, children are capable, creative, and social beings. Learning occurs in collaboration with others and environment. Malaguzi, children are rich in potential. Children communicate each 100 languages. Malaguzi 1993. According to the originator, children were seen as empowered, competent, and right-bearing. He suggested that children are rich in potential, strong, powerful, competent, and most fundamentally connected to adults and other children. This insight about children displaces defects conceptualizations and reimages the schooling as a collaborative endeavor between children and others. Learning happiness at the interfaces of collaborative relationship of the children, educator, families, and the greater community, whereas learning is not occurring independent of each other in an algorithm order. Families have an interactive role to play in their work hand in hand with educators. Educators. Aspect of design and review of the projects incorporate families' viewpoint, background, and beliefs. Edwards claimed that when parents are working in a regio-inspired environment, they are involved in discussion related to the learning and documentation and running the classroom. This indicates the early year learning framework partnership principle, that is, since families are the initial and for the longest time teachers of their children. Montessori develops as an orderly set of developmental marks, whereas Regius Emilia advocates valuable reactive and flexible learning setups that are shaped by the situations of the children and their inclinations. Reggio calls attention to the need for social and emotional development by advocating collective understanding through collaborative work, interactive dialogue, and various forms of expression. Example: art, movement, and storytelling, providing emphasis on inclusive child-centered learning. In the Reggio Emilia approach, the environment is considered the thought teacher, thoughtfully designed to be inviting, accessible, and responsive to the children's interest. It fosters creativity, collaboration, and inquiry. Features like natural light, mirrors, plants, and open-ended materials encourage explorations and reflection. This aligns with the early year learning framework holistic view of learning and well-being, acknowledging the environment's powerful role in the supporting children's development, fostering community, and promoting a sense of belonging and care. Some of the key elements from Reggio Emilia is role of parents, active collaborator included in projects and decision making. Developmental theory, constructed through relationships and shared experiences. Environment, aesthetic, open, responsive, the thought teacher. Teacher's role, researchers, co-learners, and documenter. Curriculum, emergent, project-based, driven by the student's interest. The Reggio Emilia approach can be related to the early year learning framework, especially in outcome 1. Children have a strong sense of identity. Outcome 5. Children are effective communicators, listening to the individual voices and allowing alternate ways for communication helps create meaningful dialogues, confidence, a strong sense of community here. Implementing the model, however, has its own challenge. Documentation and collaborative planning are very important, yet they take many hours and require special pedagogical competence. Effective application demands a strong education of teachers, reflecting practice of educators, and joint commitment to the principle of democracy. Rigo Emilia think of children as competent and worthy of respect but differ in their ideas of how children learn. From the aspect we can see view of children independent learner in the Montessori, whereas on the Rigo Emilia capable and social co-constructor. In the parent role, support autonomy at home, co-educator in learning, and in the development, Montessori is based on natural stages, whereas Reggio Emilia constructed through the relationships. In the aspect of the environment, Montessori is ordered and structured, but the Reggio Emilia is dynamic, aesthetic, and collaborative. From the perspective of the teacher role, Montessori is the guide and observer, whereas the Reggio Emilia is researcher or collaborator. From the curriculum activity, Montessori is structured but child-led, whereas Reggio Emilia is emergent and interest-based. Montessori best feature is the emphasis on self-reliance and concentration and not originality, cooperative learning and critical evaluation of Reggio Emilia. One of the laments of critics of Montessori is its lack of flexibility in encouraging social skills. The difficulty for Reggio Emilia concerns its dependence on the teacher training and its large complemented implementation. Personal reflection: both models put emphasis on the child competence and potential. But I prefer the Reggio Emilia model. The fact that Reggio values relationships, support creativity, and flexibility of way of learning reflects my view of encouraging children to be active participants of their learning path. I admire Montessori's system and promote impedance, but for me, learning is a process that becomes more robust with social participation and adaptability. Reggio Emilia focus on collaboration and inclusivity is where I find myself as an educator. I want to combine the best practices of the both philosophies, that is by promoting student autonomy while fostering their association and expression in collaborative settings. Montessori and Reggio Emilia add substantial visualization to this discussion of early childhood education. Despite the differences in view toward the development learning process and term of curriculum design, Montessori and Reggio Emilia consider that child is a competent and active learning person. For me as an educator, this combination of these theories offers a holistic, friendly and adaptive solution to meet the early year learning framework. So for the discussion one, how we can balance structural learning with the BG in classroom, the integration of the formal learning principle with emergent self-generated inquiry. Teacher can set up applicable routines that incorporate deliberate teaching opportunities and opportunities for child-guided discovery. Such structures such as the ULLF offer guidelines and the educator may modify the learning experiences using children's interest without compromising curriculum goal and child agency. For the next question, challenges. Some of the challenges of rigor documented practices and solution face include time of lacking training and shortage of resources. On this service can allocate time for team planning, employ digital tools for the efficient documentation, personal development on reflective practice, and meaningful observation. So I have put my all the references right here, included the Department of Education, Edward CP, and Monry and others three as well. I have provided some of the references and the intake citation as well. And thank you for giving me this kind of opportunity to present myself in front of you guys. This is Milan Thapa